Welcome to a moment of calm. You don't need to do anything. Just get comfortable, breathe slowly, and let this story gently guide you to sleep. Let us know in the comments how many minutes it took you to fall asleep. Sweet dreams. This moment is not asking anything from you. Tonight, you are not here to achieve, improve, or resolve. You are not here to reach a state, to fix a feeling, or to arrive somewhere else. You are here simply to arrive where you already are, to let the day begin to loosen its hold, to allow the effort of being awake to soften gradually, without force. For the next while, nothing needs to be completed. Nothing needs to be clarified. Nothing needs to be carried forward. This time is not borrowed from tomorrow. It is not taken from your responsibilities. It does not belong to productivity or progress. It belongs to rest. Wherever you are in the world right now, this moment belongs to you alone, not to your tasks, not to your expectations, not to the thoughts that have been following you since morning. If sleep has been difficult lately, if your body feels tired but your mind refuses to slow down, or if you notice yourself replaying conversations, decisions, or worries, know that this is not a failure. It is a sign that you have been attentive, responsive, and engaged for too long. Tonight is not about stopping your mind. It is about allowing it to lose momentum on its own. You do not need to fall asleep quickly. You do not need to fall asleep at all. There is no result required from this time. The absence of a goal is what allows rest to begin. Notice how different this feels from the way the day usually asks things of you. You may listen to these words without holding on to them. You do not need to remember them. You do not need to follow them closely. They are simply here, like distant sound, like a quiet presence that does not demand attention. Now, gently allow your body to settle. If you are not already lying down, you may begin to do so in the way that feels most natural. Let your body meet the surface beneath you. Notice how it is supported without effort. You do not need to find the perfect position. Comfort is not something to achieve. It emerges when the search for perfection stops. If your body wants to adjust, to shift slightly, to stretch, or to move, you may allow that to happen slowly and without urgency. And if it remains still, that is equally welcome. There is no correct posture for rest. The night does not evaluate how well you are resting. It does not keep score. During the day, you hold yourself upright against the world. You respond. You decide. You anticipate. You manage. At night, those functions are no longer required. The night does not ask for explanations. It does not ask you to be ready. It does not need you to understand anything. Right now, you are allowed to stop carrying things forward. You do not need to prepare tomorrow in advance. Tomorrow will arrive on its own, with its own rhythm, its own clarity, its own strength. Nothing essential will be lost by resting now. As you hear this, you might notice a sense of relief, or perhaps a subtle resistance, or perhaps very little at all. All of these responses are natural. None of them need correction. You may become aware of thoughts continuing to move, fragments of the day, images, plans, questions without answers. You do not need to push them away. You do not need to engage with them. They can remain in the background, like distant sounds that no longer require a response. Tonight, you are not responsible for your thoughts. You do not need to organize them. You do not need to quiet them. The effort to control can rest now. If your attention drifts, if your awareness softens or wanders, that is not a mistake. That is not something to fix. That is the body and mind beginning to transition. Your body understands this shift, even if your thinking mind has not caught up yet. It knows how to move from alertness into stillness. It has practiced this many times before. You do not need to help it. Right now, all that is asked of you is to remain here, listening softly, without expectation, without monitoring your experience. Let the sense of urgency begin to dissolve. There is no countdown, no moment you might miss, no task waiting on the other side of this. The night is patient. As the day gradually withdraws, you are no longer required to hold yourself upright against it. You are allowed to lean back into quiet, to be supported, to be held by stillness. Nothing needs to change for rest to begin. You do not need to feel calmer. You do not need to feel lighter. You do not need to feel different. Rest begins the moment you stop asking this moment to be something else. So for now, you allow yourself to stay here, exactly as you are, doing nothing, going nowhere. This is not a pause before effort resumes. This is not preparation for later. This is rest quietly taking its place. There is time. There is space. There is nothing to solve tonight. You have arrived. Now that you have arrived, there is no need to go anywhere else. Your body is already here. It does not need to be guided forward. It only needs to be allowed to settle. Begin by noticing the simple fact that your body is being held. The surface beneath you carries your weight, without effort, without judgment, without condition. You do not have to support yourself anymore. Allow your attention to rest on this feeling of support, not analyzing it, not improving it, just noticing that it exists. Your body may still be holding traces of the day, small areas of tension, habitual tightness, nothing unusual, nothing that needs immediate correction. Tonight, the body does not need to perform relaxation. It does not need to follow instructions perfectly. It is not required to relax all at once. It only needs permission. Notice the natural weight of your body, how gravity gently pulls you downward, how there is no effort involved in being heavy, no effort involved in being still. If there are places where your body feels restless, you do not need to quiet them. Restlessness can exist without being acted upon. It can rise and fall on its own. Let your shoulders rest in whatever position they have chosen. They do not need to be lowered. They do not need to be adjusted. They can simply stop holding themselves up. If they soften, they soften. If they remain as they are, that is also acceptable. Bring your awareness to your arms. Notice their weight. Notice how they rest, supported completely without having to do anything. Your hands do not need to hold. Your fingers do not need to grip. They can rest in their own shape, exactly as they are. You are not placing your body into rest. You are allowing it to find rest by itself. Notice your chest and abdomen. You may feel subtle movement from the breath. You do not need to follow it closely. You do not need to deepen it. The body knows how much air it needs. Allow your torso to be soft, not collapsed, not controlled, simply supported. If the thought arises that you should be more relaxed by now, notice that thought and allow it to pass. Rest is not something to measure. Bring awareness gently to your back. The muscles along your spine no longer need to hold you upright. They can rest into the surface beneath you, spreading out, releasing their effort. Let your hips be heavy. Let them sink. They carry nothing right now. Your legs can rest without direction. Your thighs, your knees, your calves are allowed to be exactly where they are. Your feet do not need to point or flex. They do not need to be aligned. They can rest in neutrality, free from intention. Notice the simple sensation of being here, not doing, not preparing, not responding. There is no posture to maintain, no awareness to hold tightly, no body part that must relax next. If your mind tries to check on your body, to scan, to evaluate, to improve, you can let that effort soften too. The body does not require supervision tonight. You may notice subtle changes, a slight warmth, a sense of heaviness, or perhaps very little at all. None of these sensations are more correct than another. Rest does not announce itself loudly. Sometimes the body relaxes by becoming heavier, sometimes by becoming quieter, sometimes by becoming less noticeable. You do not need to decide which one happens. If at any moment you feel the urge to move, you may let that urge exist without acting on it. Often, the urge fades on its own when it is not resisted. Stillness does not mean immobility. It means there is no demand to move. The body knows the difference. As you continue resting here, you may feel a gradual shift, a sense that the edges of the body are less defined, less sharp, less important. This is not something to focus on. It happens naturally. When effort leaves, your body has carried you through the day. It has responded to demands, maintained balance, absorbed tension, and remained available. Now, it is allowed to set those functions down. You are not asking your body to disappear. You are allowing it to stop working. There is nothing it needs to prove, nothing it needs to achieve through relaxation. The night does not require your body to be in a particular state. It only offers space for the body to rest in its own way. Remain here for a few moments, allowing this sense of being held to deepen without effort. If your awareness fades slightly, if your thoughts become less distinct, that is welcome. You do not need to stay alert. The body is settling now, quietly, naturally, without instruction, and you do not need to help it. Now that the body has begun to settle, there is no reason to move quickly. Nothing here requires urgency. Nothing requires precision. We remain slow, unhurried, unconcerned with how this should feel. The face is often the last place where effort quietly continues. Expressions held without awareness. Muscles working long after they are needed. Tonight, even this effort can rest. Bring your attention gently to your forehead, not as a task, not as something to manage, simply noticing that this area exists. Notice if there is any sense of holding there, any subtle lifting, any quiet tension, any effort to think, to remember, to anticipate. You are not asking the forehead to relax. You are allowing it to no longer participate. If the forehead softens, that happens naturally. If it remains unchanged, that is also completely acceptable. Allow the skin across your forehead to feel smooth and neutral, as if nothing needs to be expressed, as if no thought needs to be written there, as if the mind no longer needs a place to announce itself. Let your awareness drift slowly downward to the space around your eyes. Your eyelids do not need to stay alert. They do not need to watch. They do not need to protect. They can rest gently, heavy, or light, open or closed, without instruction. There is nothing you need to see now. Vision can step back. The world will continue without your observation. Notice the tiny muscles around the eyes. They have worked continuously, adjusting, focusing, responding to light, movement, and meaning. They can pause. Allow the eyes to rest back into their sockets as if they are being supported from behind. No effort, no direction, no monitoring. If your eyes flicker slightly or feel restless, you do not need to correct this. The body often releases in waves. Now bring attention gently to your cheeks. Notice their weight. Notice if they are holding shape or tension. Let them soften. Let them hang naturally, without needing to maintain expression. Your cheeks do not need to assist communication. They do not need to react. They do not need to participate. Allow your mouth to rest. Your lips do not need to press together. They do not need to hold themselves open. They can rest in whatever position they find naturally. There is no correct shape for a resting mouth. Now, gently bring awareness to your jaw. This is a place where many people hold more than they realize. Unspoken words, unfinished conversations, habitual readiness. Notice if your teeth are touching. If they are, you do not need to separate them deliberately. Simply allow a small space to appear, as if the jaw is no longer required to hold itself together. Let the jaw be heavy. Let it be supported by gravity. Let it hang slightly, without intention, without correction. You are not releasing the jaw. You are allowing it to release itself. If the jaw softens, notice how that feels. If it does not, allow it to remain exactly as it is. There is no failure here. There is no wrong response. The jaw does not need to stay ready. It does not need to prepare speech. It does not need to respond. Nothing is being asked of it now. Allow the tongue to rest naturally in the mouth. It does not need to press against anything. It does not need to move or shape words. It can lie quietly, free from purpose. Notice the difference between a face that is working and a face that is allowed to stop. You do not need to analyze this difference. You do not need to name it. Simply noticing is enough. As the face softens, the nervous system receives a quiet signal, a signal of safety, a signal that alertness can decrease, a signal that nothing needs immediate response. You do not need to understand this process. The body recognizes it automatically. Notice how softness in the face may begin to spread into the temples, across the scalp, down the neck, into areas you are not focusing on. This spreading does not require guidance. It happens naturally when effort leaves a central place. If your thoughts slow, that is welcome. If they continue, that is also welcome. The face does not need to coordinate with the mind. If at any moment you feel the urge to adjust your expression, to smile, to frown, to swallow, or to move, notice that urge without acting on it. Often, it fades when it is not followed. There is no expression you need to hold, no emotion you need to display, no state you need to maintain. Allow the face to become neutral, undefined, unoccupied. If awareness begins to blur, if words lose sharpness, if attention drifts in and out, there is no need to bring it back. This soft drifting is not distraction. It is rest deepening. Remain here for a few moments with a face that no longer works, no longer prepares, no longer reacts. Nothing is being communicated now. Nothing is being interpreted. There is only rest. The face is quiet. The jaw is no longer holding. The nervous system is receiving permission. And from here, the body and mind can continue downward without effort, without instruction. Now that effort has softened in the body, and the face no longer needs to hold expression, attention can move even more gently. There is no need to direct it, no need to place it precisely. It can rest wherever it naturally settles. Soon, it may begin to notice the breath, not because you are looking for it, but because the breath is always present, moving quietly in the background. You do not need to change your breathing. You do not need to slow it down. You do not need to deepen it or control it. Breathing is already happening without your help. Simply allow yourself to notice that air is moving in and air is moving out. There is no beginning you need to catch, no ending you need to follow. The breath does not require observation to continue. Notice where the breath is easiest to feel. Perhaps at the nostrils, perhaps in the chest, perhaps in the gentle rise and fall of the abdomen, or perhaps only as a general sense of movement. Wherever it appears is enough. With each inhale, the body naturally makes space. With each exhale, the body naturally lets go. You do not need to tell it to do this. It has known how since long before this moment. There is a quiet rhythm here, not mechanical, not counted, simply repeating itself. Inhale, exhale, like waves arriving at shore and returning again, like the tide responding to something unseen, like day giving way to night, without instruction. The breath comes, the breath goes. If your attention wanders, if thoughts appear, if images surface or dissolve, you do not need to return immediately to the breath. You can allow everything to coexist. The breath does not mind being ignored. It continues anyway. Sometimes you may notice the breath more clearly. Sometimes it may fade into the background. Both are signs of settling. There is no correct level of awareness. As you rest with this natural rhythm, you may notice that the exhale does not rush. It empties on its own time. And when it finishes, the next inhale arrives without effort. You do not need to help it arrive. The body trusts this rhythm completely. It does not worry about the next breath. It does not anticipate. It simply responds when the moment comes. You can borrow this trust now, not by trying, but by allowing. With each exhale, the nervous system receives another signal that it is safe to soften further, safe to reduce alertness, safe to release readiness. You do not need to feel this happening. You do not need to notice change. The body understands these signals quietly. If you notice pauses between breaths, brief moments where nothing seems to happen, allow them to be there. These pauses are not gaps to be filled. They are part of the rhythm. Nothing is missing. Breathing does not require your supervision tonight. You can stop checking on it. Stop adjusting it. Stop wondering if it is right. It has never needed permission to continue. As you remain here, the breath may become softer, or slower, or less noticeable altogether. This is not something to track. It is something to allow. You may find that your awareness moves in and out with the breath, sometimes present, sometimes drifting. Drifting is welcome. The mind does not need to stay focused for rest to deepen. Often, rest deepens when focus dissolves. If words begin to blur, if meaning fades slightly, if sentences feel less important, you do not need to hold on to them. They are not instructions to follow. They are a gentle accompaniment. Breathing continues, naturally, quietly, like the rhythm of the sea at night, when the waves are still moving. Even if you are no longer watching them, nothing about this rhythm needs improvement. Nothing about it needs correction. You are not breathing to relax. You are relaxing because breathing happens on its own. Remain here for a while with this simple movement, this quiet repetition, this natural flow. Inhale arrives, exhale leaves. No effort, no direction, no requirement. If awareness fades further, if you lose track of time, if the sense of your body becomes lighter or less defined, this is not something to resist. This is the mind beginning to trust that it does not need to stay awake. You do not need to decide when to sleep. You do not need to signal readiness. The breath will carry you where you need to go, and so you remain here with this rhythm, this quiet movement, this steady, unforced flow. Breathing happens, rest follows. There is no need to leave the rhythm of your breathing. It continues quietly in the background, supporting you without effort. And now, without trying to imagine anything clearly, without forcing images to appear, allow the sense of space around you to begin to widen. You are not creating a scene. You are allowing one to form on its own. Perhaps you notice a feeling of openness, a sense of air, a gentle vastness. In this openness, you may begin to sense that you are somewhere calm, somewhere that does not ask you to move quickly, somewhere that does not demand attention. There is no rush to identify where you are. The mind does not need to label it. If an image begins to appear, let it remain soft, unfocused, as if seen through closed eyes. You may notice light, not bright, not sharp, just enough to suggest warmth. You may sense the presence of open space in front of you, wide, uncluttered, free of edges that demand definition. Gradually, without effort, this space may begin to feel like a shoreline, a place where land meets water, where movement happens slowly and predictably. You do not need to see details. You do not need to picture anything correctly. Whatever forms is enough. There may be a sense of ground beneath you, firm, yet yielding, stable, yet gentle. If you notice the feeling of sand, allow it to be exactly as it appears, fine or coarse, warm or cool. It does not matter. What matters is the sense of being supported, without resistance. You may become aware of air moving lightly around you, a breeze that does not disturb. It balances warmth without effort. It touches without demanding response. This place does not require you to walk. It does not require you to stand. You can remain exactly as you are. And yet there is a quiet sense of presence here, a sense that nothing is out of place. If the sound of water begins to appear in your awareness, allow it to remain distant, soft, rhythmic, like your breath. It arrives and leaves on its own time. The water does not rush. It does not crash. It simply moves. You are not watching the scene. You are within it, supported by it, contained by it. Notice how this environment asks nothing from you. It does not need interpretation. It does not require memory. It does not trigger responsibility. You do not need to orient yourself. You do not need to understand where you are. The body recognizes safety before the mind does. If at any moment the image fades or shifts or disappears, there is no need to bring it back. The sense of calm remains, even without form. Sometimes the mind drifts between sensation and nothingness, between image and absence. This is natural. Allow yourself to rest in whatever appears. You may notice that your body feels lighter here, or heavier, or less distinct. There is no need to check. The shoreline does not require you to engage with it. It does not need footsteps. It does not need direction. You can simply be here with space in front of you and support beneath you. Nothing approaches, nothing threatens, nothing interrupts. The environment remains steady, whether you pay attention to it or not. As you remain here, the sense of boundaries may soften, where the body ends and the space begins may feel less clear. This is not something to analyze. It is something the mind does. When it no longer needs to stay defined, the rhythm of the water and the rhythm of your breathing begin to feel similar, not synchronized, just compatible. Both arrive, both leave. Neither require instruction. If thoughts appear briefly, they can drift across this space, like distant clouds, without pulling focus. There is nothing here to solve, nothing here to decide. This inner landscape exists, not to be explored, but to be rested within. Remain here for a few moments, allowing the sense of openness to deepen quietly. You do not need to stay present. You do not need to stay aware. This place remains even when attention fades. And as you rest here, supported by space, by ground, by gentle rhythm, the mind continues to soften. Without effort, without direction, the landscape holds you. The breath continues. Nothing is required. There is no need to leave the calm you are resting in. The openness remains. The rhythm remains. And now, without urgency, without a clear decision, there is a gentle sense of movement beginning to appear. Not movement driven by purpose, not movement that leads somewhere important. Just the quiet possibility of motion. You may sense yourself standing near the water's edge, not because you chose to stand, but because the body feels ready to be upright. Without effort, your posture is relaxed. There is no tension holding you in place. You are balanced naturally, supported by the ground beneath you. Notice your feet. They are bare. They meet the sand without resistance. You are not stepping forward yet. You are simply noticing contact, the way the ground receives your weight, the way your weight settles without strain. There is no need to adjust how you stand. The body finds balance on its own. When movement begins, it happens slowly, almost without decision. One foot shifts forward slightly, then the other follows, not walking with intention, but allowing the body to move at a pace slower than thought. Each step is unremarkable, ordinary, gentle. The sand beneath your feet yields slightly, then supports again. There is no instability, no need to correct. You are not walking to arrive anywhere. You are walking because the body enjoys moving. When nothing is required of it, notice the temperature of the sand. Perhaps warmer, farther from the water. Perhaps cooler, closer to the edge. There is no need to compare. As you move closer to the shoreline, the sand becomes firmer, more grounded, more steady. Your feet meet this change naturally. without analysis. Small waves approach and retreat. They do not interrupt your movement. They do not pull you forward. They simply arrive, touch, and leave. When water brushes your feet, there is no reaction required. No need to step away. No need to remain. The sensation passes on its own time. Your walking remains slow, almost meditative, each step complete in itself. You are not counting steps. You are not tracking distance. Movement exists only in the present moment. If at any point you stop walking, that is fine. Stillness and movement are equal here. Notice how the body feels. When it moves this slowly, there is no urgency, no destination. The mind does not need to plan the next step. The body already knows how. As you continue, you may notice that your awareness drops lower into the body, less in thought, more in sensation. This grounding does not require focus. It happens when attention no longer floats ahead. Feel the gentle pressure. With each step, the subtle shift of weight, the quiet rhythm of contact and release. Nothing else competes for attention. If thoughts appear, they are slower now, less insistent. They drift alongside movement without pulling you away from it. You are not following the shoreline. You are part of it. Movement here does not increase alertness. It reduces it because it is predictable, safe, unchanging. The body recognizes this safety and responds by letting go further. Your shoulders remain loose. Your arms hang naturally. Your hands do not swing deliberately. They simply move as they move. Breathing continues quietly, unnoticed most of the time, supporting movement without command. There is no coordination required. Everything happens together, without effort. As you walk, the sense of edges begins to soften again, where the body ends and the space begins is less clear. Movement does not sharpen awareness. It blurs it gently. You may notice moments where you are no longer sure how many steps have passed or whether you are moving at all. This is not confusion. This is grounding deepening. Eventually, movement slows on its own, not because you decide to stop, but because stopping feels natural. You find yourself standing again, near the water, with the sand firm beneath you. There is no need to sit, no need to lie down. You can remain exactly here. The body feels stable, supported, at ease. Nothing needs to happen next. You are grounded now, not by effort, but by contact, by rhythm, by simplicity. Remain here for a while, with this sense of quiet presence, with the ground beneath you, with gentle movement no longer required. The body is calm, the mind is quieter, and there is no reason to hurry forward. You remain where you are, grounded, supported. There is no urgency to move. And now, Within this quiet landscape, something gently draws your attention, not suddenly, not dramatically, just a subtle noticing. A small wooden chest rests nearby, partially settled into the sand. It has been here for a long time, unbothered by weather, unconcerned with being found. You do not feel rushed to approach it. Curiosity is calm here. There is no anticipation. When you reach it, you notice that it is already open. Nothing needs to be unlocked. Nothing needs permission. Inside, resting quietly, is a photo album. Simple, unadorned, with your name written on the cover. You do not question how it arrived here. You do not wonder who placed it. It feels natural that it belongs to you. You take the album and sit comfortably in the sand, supported without effort. The sea remains in front of you. The air remains soft. As you open the album, you notice that the pages turn easily. There is no resistance, no heaviness. Inside are images from different moments of your life, not arranged chronologically, not categorized, simply present. Some images come from early years, others from later chapters. Each one shows you as you were, not performing, not proving, simply existing. These images do not demand evaluation. They do not ask for explanation. They are not here to be judged. You are not asked to relive everything. You are not asked to analyze the past. Among these pages, 3 images quietly stand out, not because they are dramatic, but because they carry a familiar warmth. You take your time with the first image. You do not rush memory. You do not search for meaning. You simply allow the feeling to return, not the details, not the storyline, only the sensation. Perhaps it is a sense of ease, perhaps safety, perhaps laughter, perhaps a quiet moment of belonging. You let that feeling exist without holding onto it. Then the second image appears. Again, you do not force recall. You let memory rise in the way it wants to. Notice what it feels like to remember without revisiting, to feel without re-entering. There may have been others present in this moment, or perhaps you were alone. It does not matter. What remains is the emotional tone, the inner state, the sense of being aligned with life. Now, the third image. This one carries something subtle, a feeling of being fully yourself, unsplit, undistracted. There is no need to label this moment as the best. It was simply complete. You allow yourself to rest in the feeling it brings, not expanding it, not intensifying it, just noticing that you have known this state before. As you sit with these images, a gentle understanding settles in. Life is not defined by constant happiness. It does not move in a straight line. It unfolds. Moments of joy do not cancel moments of difficulty, and moments of difficulty do not erase what has been lived. These memories do not bind you. They do not pull you backward. They simply remind you that the capacity for ease has always existed within you. You feel gratitude, not intense, not emotional, just present, gratitude without words, without obligation. After some time, you close the album gently. There is no need to keep it open. Nothing is being taken away. The album remains with you, light in your hands, without weight. You return your attention to the sea in front of you. The sound of water, the openness, the steady rhythm. You notice that everything feels intact. Nothing is missing. Nothing is unresolved here. You are not defined by these memories. They are part of you, but they do not require your attention now. The past does not need to be reviewed tonight. It can rest alongside you. You place the album back where it was, or perhaps keep it near you. Either way, it remains safe, and as you sit quietly again, you notice that the emotional tone has softened further. There is no pull toward thinking, no urge to interpret, only a quiet sense that life has held you before and continues to do so now. Remain here for a few moments, allowing this gentle warmth to settle without effort. Nothing needs to be carried forward. Nothing needs to be concluded. The memory has done its work without asking anything in return. You remain within this open space with nothing asking to be solved. The sea continues its steady movement. The air remains calm. The ground beneath you does not shift. There is no need to focus on any single sensation now. Awareness is free to widen, to soften, to rest without choosing where to stay. In this openness, a quiet understanding begins to form, not as a conclusion, not as an idea, but as a gentle recognition that does not require words. Life does not move in straight lines. It never has. It moves in rhythms, in cycles that open and close, in moments of effort and moments where effort must be released. There are times when clarity feels close, and times when uncertainty lingers, times of motion and times of pause. None of these moments are mistakes. Just as the sea advances and retreats, just as the light shifts without asking permission, your life follows its own natural rhythm. You do not need to correct this rhythm. You do not need to speed it up or slow it down. It has always known how to move. There are phases of building and phases of letting go, phases of engagement and phases of withdrawal. Rest is not an interruption of life. It is one of its essential movements. Tonight belongs to this movement. You do not need to hold the shape of your life in your thoughts. You do not need to understand how everything connects. You do not need to revisit the past or organize the future. Those efforts can rest now. Life continues even when you stop watching it. It continues even when you are not directing it. Notice the relief in not needing to supervise existence. The rhythm of life includes contrast, presence and absence, expansion and contraction, joy and quiet sorrow, activity and rest. One does not cancel the other. They inform each other. They create balance together. You were never meant to remain in one emotional state. You were never meant to hold everything steady all the time. Change is not a sign of failure. Fluctuation is not instability. It is rhythm. Even rest follows this rhythm. It cannot be commanded. It arrives when resistance softens. As you allow this understanding to settle quietly within you, you may feel a sense of permission spreading. Permission to not be complete. Permission to not be resolved. Permission to not know. Nothing in your life needs to be fixed tonight. In order for you to rest deeply, you are not avoiding responsibility. You are allowing responsibility to wait. There will be moments for action again, moments for decision, moments for clarity and response. This is the moment for stillness. The body understands this instinctively. It knows when to act and when to soften. The mind is slowly learning to follow the body's lead. You may notice thoughts now feel farther away, less convincing, less urgent. They may still appear, but they no longer ask for agreement. They are part of the movement, nothing more. You do not need to push them away. You do not need to resolve them. They will settle when they are no longer fed by effort. As you remain here, you may sense that nothing essential is being lost. Nothing is slipping away. Life continues to carry itself forward without your constant participation. The night does not interrupt life's rhythm. It completes it. Just as the tide recedes without disappearing, just as the sky darkens without ending the day, you can release control without vanishing. You are still here, held, supported, included. There is no urgency to define who you are tonight. No need to measure progress. No need to compare where you are to where you imagine you should be. You are already within the rhythm. You have always been. Allow this knowing to remain in the background without becoming something to think about. If awareness drifts, let it drift. If the sense of self softens, let it soften. Nothing essential depends on your attention right now. You are part of a movement that continues effortlessly. Life breathes. The sea moves. The night unfolds. And you are allowed to rest inside this rhythm without resistance, without explanation, without effort. Remain here for a few moments, feeling the ease of not needing to decide, not needing to direct, not needing to hold anything together. Everything is moving, as it should. You do not need to move anymore. There is nowhere to go, nothing left to approach. The ground continues to support you. The space around you remains open, and slowly the body begins to matter less. Not because it disappears, but because it no longer needs attention. You are not asked to focus on the body now. You are allowed to let it fade into the background of awareness. Notice how the body feels when it is no longer being checked, no longer being adjusted, no longer being monitored. There may be a sense of heaviness or lightness or something in between. Whatever appears is fine. The body does not need to be clearly felt. In order for rest to deepen, you may notice that the edges of the body are becoming less defined, less clear where one part ends and another begins. This softening of boundaries does not require effort. It happens when attention withdraws. Your hands may feel distant, or larger than usual, or barely present at all. Your feet may feel far away, or completely neutral, or not noticeable. There is no need to check. The body knows how to rest without being observed. Breathing continues quietly, but you may not notice it anymore. Or you may notice it only occasionally, like a distant rhythm. There is no need to follow it. As awareness softens further, the sense of weight may change. The body may feel heavier, as if sinking gently, or lighter, as if floating slightly. Neither sensation requires interpretation. They are signs of release. You are not leaving the body. You are simply no longer holding it. The muscles no longer announce themselves. They no longer ask for attention. They no longer signal readiness. The nervous system is settling into a quieter state. If thoughts appear now, they may feel slower, less structured, more like fragments than sentences. You do not need to finish them. You do not need to understand them. They dissolve on their own when they are not followed. You may notice moments where you are unsure whether you are awake or drifting. These moments are welcome. There is no need to decide what state you are in. The sense of time may begin to lose clarity. Minutes no longer feel distinct. Sequence no longer feels important. Nothing needs to be measured. The body is resting beneath awareness, like something gently set down. You do not need to protect it. You do not need to manage it. It is safe to let it be. If at any moment you notice a brief return of sensation, a small awareness of position or contact, you do not need to react. Awareness will soften again on its own. The mind does not need to stay connected to the body to remain safe. The body has entered its own rhythm of rest. You may sense that the body is no longer centered, no longer the main reference point. Awareness feels wider now, less located, less attached. There is no clear boundary between inside and outside. This is not something to focus on. It is something that happens. When effort leaves completely, you are not falling asleep yet, and you are not being asked to stay awake. You are simply resting in between. In this space, nothing needs to be named. Nothing needs to be remembered. The body is quiet. The mind is quieter. If awareness drifts in and out, if there are gaps, if there are moments of nothing at all, there is no need to return. These gaps are not absences. They are signs that rest is deepening naturally. You do not need to stay present. For rest to continue, the body does not require witnesses. Allow the sense of having a body to become less important, less solid, less central. It is still there, but it no longer needs to be held. There is nothing you need to do to make sleep arrive. You do not need to invite it. You do not need to prepare for it. Sleep knows how to come when the body is no longer held awake. Remain here, or drift, or fade. There is no wrong direction now. The body is resting. Awareness is soft. Nothing is required. And from here, sleep may arrive quietly, without announcement, without transition. Or you may remain here a little longer, floating gently, without form. Both are perfect. There is nothing left to hold, nothing left to follow, nothing left to listen for closely. You do not need to stay with these words. You do not need to understand them. You do not need to remember them. They can pass by like distant sound, like a soft current moving underneath awareness. You are allowed to drift. If your attention comes and goes, that is fine. If it fades completely for moments at a time, that is fine. There is no need to return. The body is resting on its own now. It no longer needs guidance. It no longer needs instruction. Breathing happens quietly, somewhere in the background, without effort, without direction. You do not need to notice it. Thoughts may still appear occasionally. They may feel unfinished, incomplete, loose. You do not need to finish them. They dissolve when they are not followed. They soften when they are not engaged. Awareness does not need to stay sharp. It does not need to stay present. It does not need to stay anywhere. It can fade and return and fade again. Nothing depends on it. You may notice long spaces where there is no clear thought, no clear sensation, no clear sense of time. These spaces do not need to be filled. They are not empty. They are restful. The night does not require consciousness to continue doing its work. The body knows what to do. The nervous system knows how to settle. Sleep knows how to arrive. You do not need to invite it. There is no moment you need to catch, no threshold you need to cross deliberately. Sleep does not announce itself. It does not ask permission. It comes quietly, when nothing is holding it back. If you notice yourself slipping, drifting, losing track of words, that is exactly as it should be. You do not need to wake yourself up to listen. These words are not instructions anymore. They are simply a gentle presence, like a voice heard through water, like sound fading into distance. You may already feel that the sense of being here is becoming thinner, less solid, less important. That is fine. There is no need to define where you are now. No need to name the state you are in, whether you are awake or nearly asleep or already drifting in and out. Nothing changes. Rest continues. If there are moments of nothing at all, moments without image, without thought, without sensation, allow them to be. Do not try to hold on to awareness. Inside those moments, they are the doorway. The body is safe. The environment is stable. Nothing requires response. There is no reason to stay alert. If a thought appears that says, "I should be asleep by now," Let it pass. It does not need an answer. Sleep does not respond to pressure. It responds to absence, absence of effort, absence of monitoring, absence of demand. You have already done enough. By letting go this far, from here, there is nothing else to do. No breath to follow, no image to hold, no sensation to track. Awareness can loosen completely. You may feel yourself slipping beneath the surface of thought, or drifting sideways, or simply fading. There is no direction required. The night carries you. Words may continue for a little while, or they may fade entirely. Either way, they no longer matter. You do not need to stay with them. You are allowed to disappear into rest, to let consciousness dim, to let the mind stop forming meaning. Sleep is already close, or already here. There is no difference now. Nothing needs to be completed. Nothing needs to be concluded. This moment does not need an ending. You can rest. You can drift. You can sleep. And everything continues quietly, without you having to be present for it.